Three, two, one. What is up, everybody? You are listening. You are watching the Book of Gaberock. I am your host, Gabriel Avila. This is finally, I actually have some updated news about the future of where I'm going. It took a while for the Air Force to actually share the information with me. Actually, I sort of unofficially knew, but they officially notified me that my next adventure is leading us west. Not all the way west where we want to go to Arizona, but as far as we could go. I was selected to be the next director of the Directive of Communications at 16th Air Force. And so 16th Air Force A6 is the actual office symbol. I wanted to be an A6 job. I've been served on several A6 staffs, but I've never actually been the A6. And so this is going to be pretty dope. Looking forward to, I've somehow been in this chain of command a while, right? I've served on the ACC A6 staff, then I've been down at the AFTAC level as a group commander and still within, in 16th Air Force. And now I'm going to be working on that staff now coming up this summer. So really, really excited about this. A really, really interesting time in the world, obviously with current events going on, and then just kind of the state of how cyber is going on in the Air Force. Lots of familiar faces when I get there in Texas this summer. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing some of my former teammates that I've worked around the world with and seeing how our class, our generation of leaders is really going to take it to the next level as far as leading this Air Force thing of ours. So I'm super duper excited about that. Also, fun fact, within like 48 hours, within that time frame of getting notified of my next assignment, also had my son tell me that he was like, "Hey, Dad, so I need to sign up for some extra summer classes because I need some summer classes like pre-calc and whatever to get ready for my fall sophomore year, and also I signed up for Air Force ROTC." I was like, "Oh, did you now?" I was like, "Be cool, be cool, be cool." Be cool. And so he is he will be, his cousin Austin actually helped him get signed up for it. So looks like he'll be joining ROTC starting next year. It was funny, and then we started talking about haircuts for like 25 minutes. Not kidding. He was really, really just like his grandfather, really, really focused on his hair. He spends a lot of time on his hair. That's Danny Zuko. Not Danny Zuko, jeebus. That's the other Danny from Saturday Night Fever. Anyways, so yeah, there's a potentially 4th gen model of Villa in the making, and so I was super duper excited about that. We'll see if he's studying computer engineering. I don't know if he's going to pick that as the AFSC, but if he chooses to follow his old man and do a cyber thing, he's definitely going to have a different experience altogether. I grew up as a communications officer. He will actually become potentially a cyberspace officer because he's probably going to be smarter than me, and so we'll see what he does. But a lot of cool information that happened within like 48 hours last week, but finally get to share that information. So really, really excited for what's going to be coming up. It's going to be hectic coming up through this summer. Still on the tail end of my tour here. Lots of stuff going on, lots of challenges and cool things that's keeping me busy here in Florida. So I'm just really, really excited time going on. And so also it's weird as I found this weird niche, and clearly if you read my last article, somehow, I don't know why, but I have this weird niche of being able to blend like leadership things and my nerdery. I don't know who else is doing this in the space. Maybe there are, but maybe I'm the only one doing it. But like maybe because I'm of my certain age and then also having to be at a certain degree of responsibility. So it's just kind of cool where and I can actually do this really, really quickly. I was weirdly surprised how I could bridge talking about Transformers the movie and all of a sudden making it into a leadership lesson. Maybe because I'm that much of a nerd. I started talking to my wife about it, and then within like 7, I started saying this leadership kind of thing, and then I said, so like in the movie Transformers, and then she eye rolled me like so hard. I'm like, whoa, did you just check out because I talked about Transformers? She's like, whatever. I was like, oh my God, that was hilarious, but also valid. So I love her and she knows who I am, but it was super funny where she was really into it. And then I said Transformers and then she checked out. It is what it is. But in any case, it was a valid leadership lesson talking about the idea of like power over and power to. And it kind of it's one of those kind of things that I've been really passionate about as I've learned to become an officer and become assigned more responsibilities, that I take it very, very seriously, where like if I'm going to be given additional responsibilities, I actually want to try and empower as many people as possible. I just have a different set of responsibilities. I get it that like at certain points in time, I'm the one that has to say a yes, no, or make a certain decision. And if it was an easy decision, that means somebody else can make it down the chain. I have to make tough decisions. That's what I'm being paid to do. However, tough decisions don't necessarily have to be shouldered upon only just me. And arguably, many of decisions that one person makes always has second and third order effects. So why wouldn't you want to just involve more people to make sure that everybody's as many equities as possible can be considered? That way you make it a team effort versus an individual effort. Even though the way it works in the military is there is a commander, this chain of command works very, very well, where singularly one person gets to make a decision. That's just how it works. That's the benefit of where, in warfare and just kind of what we do, chain of command is a thing, and it's very, very efficient. But it doesn't mean it's like the old school, just do what I say. Like, there's something to be said about bringing up the people who you're raising and trying to make sure they're involved in understanding your leadership cycles and how you want to do it. That's how I see empowering, by giving them insight to my kind of decision cycles, why I choose to make certain decisions is based on some of my experiences, because they're potentially not privy to a bunch of information that I have at my level. So therefore, when I share that information, they could be like, oh, I didn't know you were thinking about like that. I'm like, yeah, because that's not a fault on you. You're just not privy to that information. So I'm trying to, if I want them to replace me, and I've told them very clearly, I said, I need to make you a better version of me. That's what I need to do. And so by empowering them and giving them the opportunity to be part of the solution, I think is really, really important. Because if I'm trying to retain, almost becomes a thing of control. That's the thing I'm starting to recognize at work, is this weird behaviors where people are looking to either preserve or share control. The preservation of control to me is like you're trying to retain the power for yourself. You singularly want to have the power over everybody. You control resources, you control time, you control information. That control makes it to where like you can manipulate situations to whatever your internal desires are. The opposite is kind of like what I like to do. And some people really, really, they get disarmed by it because I think they just aren't able to function in those environments because they can't actually, they actually have to talk. They have to explain themselves and share some of their logic and share some information. And for them, it's like, I just don't have time to do that. Well, that's because you have no fucking logical like stance that you're talking about. You just want us to do it, but there's no logic behind it. At one point in time, and at certain instances, sure, if we're taking fire or something like that, I have no choice. I'm going to just do what you're going to say. However, in a regular white collar environment where we're talking about things, and I'm asking you to explain your stance, and you can't go past 3 questions, I'm already questioning. You're talking out of your ass. You have no idea what you're talking about. And that's going to be, you're losing trust in the team. It seems like you're going to be aiming towards a different scoreboard. There's so many things that's not helpful for a team. So I'm not sure what we're doing here, because it seems like you're not trying to work within the team. So what are we doing? It looks like you're going out for self, not for the team. So that's the kind of behavior that I'm very particular when I'm leading our squadron commanders. Make sure you witness the good behavior and probably witness the poor behavior, and make sure you don't do that. I tend to learn best from poor examples and then don't repeat them, because they unfortunately live rent-free in my mind for way too long. But I make sure I remember those things, because I never, ever, ever want to be like that. I have so many things. I have lots of good examples from really good leaders, really good family things. It weirdly, sometimes more often than not, I think about my dad a lot, and that ends up becoming a good measure of like, well, what would my dad do in this situation? He was a chief master sergeant in the Air Force. And so that kind of stuff just always sets in me, and it usually sets me on the right path of what I should be doing, how I should be treating people. And so like, that's those kind of things of that compass has never, ever led me wrong. And so I'm going to continue to think about like that. And I think that is one of the things that I owe it to everybody that am fortunate enough to lead. And I'm going to be leading even more people, having a much broader scope of impact in my next position as 16th Air Force, that I'm looking forward to, just because I want to help the community. It's not like I'm not going to have a power trip. It doesn't really matter. I just happen to have a bunch of responsibilities in that new position. So to be honest, I don't want to screw it up. I have a deep fear of being failing a team. So I have a self-induced pressure that I can't screw it. No pressure, but don't screw it up. You might have heard about something like that in the past. So like that idea of recognizing what power is and how to use it smartly is something we all should be thinking about. That actually was the premise of the article I wrote last week. but also I talk about Transformers because I know how to do that piece. So speaking of nerdery, I'm super duper excited. Next week on the 19th, I'm going to MegaCon. And so I may or may not be returning with a sword that may or may not be mounted somewhere here. Those are my lightsabers. This is going to be an actual real sword, Anduril from Lord of the Rings. They have 25th anniversary things. It is super awesome having grown up money going to nerd conventions. I'm not kidding. Like for real grown up money too. 15-year-old Gabe could never imagine being in this position, but here I am. So it's pretty dope. In any case, looking forward to continuing the nerdery. Looking forward to continuing to publish content like this. If you guys continue, I have lots of people reaching out to me at work, just different kind of things. Just the normal topics come up, and just naturally, the things just come up because they just give me enough situations and things to comment on. So I already have a couple more topics in the chamber. If there's anything else you want me to reach out to, go ahead and give a like, subscription, leave a comment here on the YouTube channel. And thank you for subscribing to the podcast. This content is really, really fun to make. And I'll probably continue in my next position in some different, not even a different capacity. I'll keep on making content because I just think it's really relevant to share some true leadership experiences from my foxhole and trying to bridge that digital and analog place. Because yes, I'm an old head, but I also understand some of these nuances that these youths these days probably can learn from us old heads. So I think I'm offering some value added to somebody, whoever's going to be listening, even if it's just one airman. I'm glad to help that airman out. So thanks for all for listening. So take care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks. Peace. Can't stop, won't stop.